sort of transparent one to go in the corner on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. We need all those bits.
You know, like list of bits to make.
I'm into this. We got some time. We can get this all sorted out. I'll get the new camera back and get all this stuff sorted out before PAX. Bookmarks. Let me tweet. We're talking about bookmarks. And I will pause that, and let's do this. I guess my opening bit is the microphone stands. I guess I got another opening bit, but they're both low-key. I got two opening bits then. Woo.
I think I had opening bits.
Unless you got something. What is anything?
It wasn't much. I can't remember it, but it wasn't much.
All right, well, I'll start mine. If you think of something, you can just say something. Otherwise, we'll just go. Turn that off. There. Still, once this mixer dies, I'll get something USB. But none of the USB things do everything this mixer does. But I'm not.
The one
really,
I sent you doesn't do everything.
Not everything this does.
Does everything we need though?
It does most of everything.
It's also probably small enough, and I'm sure there are other similar ones too. But you don't have to get that exact one.
Yeah, the one trouble is most of them that have. They kind of cheat by they expect you to plug your phone directly into the mixer.
That one they sent you did not.
It did if you want to have it like dial people in. It specifically had a thing for that.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't notice that feature.
Yeah,
I just noticed its portability and its USB multi-track feature. I didn't notice its other features.
Yeah,
it had enough XLR inputs. It was USB. And it had multi-track into Audition. And I was like, oh, that's all we need.
Thing is, I have that already with my Fire Studio Pro and my laptop.
That only has two.
Yeah. We ever needed more than two on the go?
And also, your Fire Studio Pro is FireWire.
My laptop has FireWire.
I'm just saying it was. This one was USB.
Yep.
And looked a little better than a Fire Studio Pro.
Yeah. The Fire Studio's on my desk at work right now.
Okay.
All right. It's Monday, April 15th, 2019. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight we are talking about the humble bookmark. One last check, just in case.
Oh shit, what am I gonna eat?
I'm making some grilled cheese.
That's kind of sad.
Monday, April 15th, 2019. I'm Rim. I'm Scott. All right. I will start with, we got someone watching just in time to hear my opening bit.
Go away, sad person. Find a better way to spend your time.
So for the last, 10 years.
That's a long time.
Every time we do Geek Nights, I have to futz a little bit with, well, I had to for a long time, futz with both our microphone stands. I had to arrange everything. So a while ago, I just got a boom arm for my microphone, and I bought the cheapest boom arm that money could buy. And it lasted about 2 months before it just broke. So then I bought the third cheapest boom arm that exists. And so far, it's going fine. I feel like it'll last a while. But for the last 10 years, I have had to, every time we do Geek Nights, futz with Scott's microphone stand because it was just falling apart.
We bought it in the Beacon days.
Yep, we bought
it. Radio Shack.
We bought it.
When Radio Shack was still in business.
We went to a Radio Shack and we bought two 1/4-inch microphones. I'm making a quote motion here because they were microphones in the barest possible sense. We bought two Radio Shack branded microphone stands that were complete pieces of shit. And
they were suitable for karaoke.
Yeah, at best, maybe.
I think that's what they were mostly there for, was like if you have a karaoke machine, you lost a mic or something, or wanted to add one.
Yep. So when we had Judith on the show the other day, I had to get out the other microphone stand that's of the same ilk and set it up, and it was even more broken. So I finally I avoided doing the thing that I'll often do of, oh, that thing's broken. I'll deal with that eventually, and then proceed to never deal with it.
No, the thing you do is break the thing on purpose when you want to buy a new one.
Yeah, I really needed to break that shitty microphone stand to have an excuse to spend $12 on a microphone stand.
You love breaking stuff.
Yeah, next time some of your technology breaks, I will remind you.
When does my stuff break?
I recall a conversation recently where something of yours broke.
You mean my monitor that broke? And
why did you break your monitor?
It wasn't an excuse to buy a new one. If you notice, I just stole one of yours rather than buying a new one.
You just broke it.
If I wanted to buy a new one, I could just buy new ones.
You just broke it to have an excuse to steal my monitor.
I'm waiting for actually new 4K monitor models to come out. Then I'll buy some.
I will say though, in terms of monitors,
because the current models have been around for quite a few years, I don't want to get one and then have new ones suddenly come out.
Yeah, that is why I upgraded every monitor we had at the same time, and I just got 3 of the same 4K Dell.
As soon as there's new 4K monitors, I'm going to be like, Daddy 2.
So I had thought about, because someone in the stream was pointing out that they're watching GeekNights on the 3rd monitor while they work on stuff.
Third monitor, whoa.
I had a use case for 3 monitors, and my use case was, I want in the old days, 2 regular monitors side by side, and then a third, like 4x3 monitor to stick on the wall or something, specifically for live streaming, GeekNightsy type stuff. There is no use for that once you have 4K monitors.
The reason
I have so many pixels here.
I don't really see people with 3 monitors very often, except for in financial offices.
Well, when the third monitor is literally just like a status monitor.
Right. But what I do see, at my work at least, is people who have a laptop and then they have 2 monitors on the desk.
Yeah.
And then the laptop becomes monitor 3. I just have 1 monitor on the desk and then it becomes 2. Yeah. Especially since even though the laptop monitor is small, is usually better than the desktop monitor because every laptop these days is like ultra tiny DPI.
Yep. Emily's Surface has a crazy
Oh yeah, that's a great monitor.
That's such a good monitor. I could use it as a main monitor if I needed to.
It's better than the Dell monitor.
It had more pixels than my old Dell Ultra Sharp.
It
the
does.
16x10.
The monitor that's built into a MacBook, a Retina MacBook, or a Surface Pro is like a crazy good monitor.
But no, the monitor in my laptop.
This
is
iPad screen right here is actually the best screen I own. I own so many screens. This is the best one.
It's like 1330 by 7. Like, it's this ridiculous resolution.
Yeah.
Like, some windows just won't fit. But holy crap, once you have 4K pixels, there's enough pixels, even in one monitor, to like do all the multitasking you want to do. I am a big fan of the vertical monitor, though. So
I'm not a fan of the vertical monitor.
I will look
because
at
even people think though the use case for it is like when you're coding.
No, I don't use it for that.
But the thing is, when I'm coding, I do want more height than 16:9.
Yep.
But I want to split it down the middle and get Daddy 2. Right? A vertical monitor is too wide, and I can only see 1 file at a time. I want to see 2 files at a time.
Basically, what I wanted,
terminal and text editor next to each other.
What I wanted is 2 4x3s to have the live stream thing and like the OBS thing, and just putting a 4K monitor vertical covered that. But yeah, the other notable opening bit, because I was giving Scott time because he don't have an opening bit. Apparently, someone busted into my building and stole a bike from the bike room.
This building?
Yeah.
How'd they get in?
They must have snuck past the doorman while he was like doing something.
Oh, I mean, I can get in, but I mean, how did they get in the bike room?
So the bike room was never locked, but you lock your bike in the bike room. There's like bike racks in there. So my bike.
Someone had a bike in the bike room that was not locked in the room.
Yep. And someone took it. However, as far as
how do they know it was someone who busted in and not another person living here?
So here's the interesting thing. I guess they have video footage of like it happening. They know it's not someone who lives here.
Okay.
But no one like reported their bike was missing. And I was talking to some people.
Maybe someone just left their bike in here.
So I went around again in the bike room and did an inventory. Because I'm like one of the only people who actually uses this bike room, apparently. Most of the bikes in this bike room have had flat tires since we moved into this building.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Even the doorman is pretty sure that most of the bikes in the bike room were owned by people who no longer live here, and they're just garbage. So I think there are 6 people who live in this building who actually use their bikes.
Why don't you just take possession of the other bikes
and just sell them all?
Well, I was saying you could sell them or you could donate them. There's a thing where it's like people. It's a place where people, I forget what it's called, recycle a bike thing, where people learn how to maintain bikes. And then, they also, as a side effect,
you get the bike?
No, well, I think sometimes, but they put together bikes for people that can't afford bikes. So they do the similar thing with computers, right?
Yeah.
You donate your computers, people learn how to build computers, and then they give computers to people who can't, get a computer. Not
a bad thing. But because of this, bike stolen that no one noticed, now they lock the bike room and they won't give anyone a key but the doorman. So what that means, so one day I go down, like I try to go down to the basement and all the stairways are locked. Like I can't get in. Like, okay. So I take the elevator down. The bike room's locked. So now every time I want to ride my bike, I go to the doorman. He's got to come downstairs with me in the elevator and unlock the bike room.
So the building I'm working in now, which I'm not going to be working in too many months, but it is going to be for the summer, so I'm going to have to do their shtick.
Yep.
Right? I noticed they had a bike room over by the service elevator, and it was locked. and it had a sign on it that said, "Not responsible if you put your bike in here and it gets stolen."
That's fine. I mean, I lock my bike even if it's in a bike room.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to. But
Well, 'cause people-
I'd much rather take it up the service elevator, put it in our office. So, but I went and asked the doorman in the building, and I was like, "Hey, how do I get a key to the bike room?" And he's like, you just go to this, office and talk to the person there and fill out a paper, and they'll give you a key, right? But then I was like, "Can I just bring my bike in the service elevator and not do that?" And he's like, "No, that's why we made a bike room." And I was like, "Oh, I'd really much rather just bring it to the office."
At least they have the bike room as opposed to the buildings that just make up a fake
Well,
fire
I don't know
code
what's in that
excuse.
room. I'm gonna have to take a look in there, right, before I decide, what to do. I might have. Who knows?
Yeah. I've realized that one of the main problems not to turn into bike nights is that generally buildings, like New York buildings, are still really weird about bikes. But basically, because of this, I told the doorman, I was like, "Look, I bike to work every day once it's summer. So you're literally going to have to come down and do this between 2 and 4 times a day, every single day until it snows again." And he looked at me and he was like, "Oh, God damn it, you're right." So, my hope, and he is encouraging me in this, is to...
They should just make keys for residents like you to the bike room.
So because so
just
few,
like the building I'm working in.
because so few people in this building actually use their bikes, pretty sure I will be able to convince the super after maybe a couple weeks of me being annoying and using the bike room constantly and causing a problem, because every time I want to get my bike, they have to like lock the front door, unman the doorman spot, go down into the basement, deal with me, and come back up. So I get the over-under is 2 weeks before the building just says, "Here's your goddamn key."
That's right.
So, got some tech news?
I do have some tech news, but first, I was just reminded of something that is tech news-ish that due to our discussion. So there's a website people know about that is PC Part Picker.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I vaguely remember that.
Where if you want to build a PC, you go to this website and you can pick your parts for your PC and make sure that you don't pick anything that's incompatible. They update the collections of parts.
Ooh, someone use a Pelican case. They built their PC in a Pelican.
Okay, is that good for heat?
I guess you leave the door open when you're at the con.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
Oh, okay. That's
cool.
Yeah, because you can't do it when it's closed. Though.
No.
But yeah, it's a really good website, PC Part Picker, right? If you want to build a computer, you might not use it for your actual buying because they do give you like affiliate links to buy all the parts at the places where they search for the lowest prices all around.
Yep.
But what my thing, it's not my thing of the day. It's just a side news. Is they're putting out a new website. You can see the link right there, right in the blog section. Down to the right. Yeah.
Oh.
They are developing cyclingbuilder.com where you can build a bicycle part by part, and it will make sure you don't build an incompatible bicycle. Like, no, those tires won't fit on that frame.
So,
no, that chain ring doesn't go with that bottom bracket. No.
You might naively think, how can a bike be harder to build than a PC?
I can build 100 PCs. Building a bike.
Building a bike today is harder than building a PC was in the late 90s.
The main problem with building a bike is not that it's so difficult to do. It's that you need specialized tools, right?
Yep.
You can build a PC with the screwdriver to get like the bottom bracket into the bike. You need like a special bottom bracket like pushing tool,
Yep.
right? To even get the chain on and off, you need a special tool to like pop the pin out of the chain. You need all these specialized tools.
Gonna true your wheel because it's a brand new wheel. I hope you have a wheel truer.
If you made the wheel, or you could have bought a true wheel.
Even if you buy a wheel, you usually have to true it.
Maybe. The point is, building a bike is not as easy as building a computer, but many people do it. You can buy components and build a bike just like
oh
you
my
can
god,
a computer.
you know all those accounts like Cursed Rhythm Controllers? There's got to be a Twitter account for Cursed Bikes where
I'm
people
sure there.
put
But
like,
anyway, the point is this
cassette.
website is still in its infancy. It works great, but the selection of parts is very, very low because they have to enter so many of them by hand.
Yeah.
So it's like they don't even have all the major different like group sets available yet, but they're working on it.
Yeah.
So over
now
time,
I can figure out what derailleur or cassette I should use because I wouldn't use this to build a new bike, but I would use it to replace parts on my existing bike.
I would use it to build a new bike if I was going to make a custom bike, but those are a lot of money.
The thing is,
that's the thing is like when you build a computer, you save money. When you build a custom bike, you usually don't save money
because
it's like when you're building the computer, right? It's like you're paying this extra fee to someone to like combine all the parts, right? And it's like, you think, no, you should be saving money because they're mass producing the same computer, and right? It's like, no, it doesn't. But with a bike, it makes sense, actually. It's the correct way of things where, yeah, you bought the mass produced bike, not the custom bike.
Yep.
You saved money by not building your own. So it's like, it's completely opposite in that sense, money-wise.
But I've been in the boat with my old mountain bike of, I need a new cassette, and the bike shops weren't super knowledgew by me.
Well, the bike shops are knowledgeable here if you go to the good ones.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's just the side news. My actual news is New York Times. Big companies thought insurance covered a cyber attack. They may be wrong. So here's the deal. Big company, right? Big company manufacturing stuff or whatever, get hit with a cyber attack.
Which happens.
Their computers are just like, this is like a serious cyber attack. Like, their computers don't work. They can't email. They can't do shit. The whole business comes to a screeching halt. They lose a fortune in money, right? And they're like, God damn it, that sucks. But that's what you get for not being, modern in your ways.
Yep.
Right? It's just the consequence. So they go to their insurance and they say, hey, are you going to pay for all these damages?
And of course, the insurance says no.
It's not that the insurance says no. That's obvious that the insurance would find any excuse to say no.
Yep.
It's the reason they said no. Why did the insurance get away with saying no? The insurance said no because...
I see it here. I hadn't read the article yet, but I see it.
Because they said that this particular cyber attack wasn't just some, rando cyber attack, right? That it was a cyber attack by the Russian government and is therefore an act of war. And the insurance specifically does not include war. If your building gets bombed in a war, insurance doesn't cover that. If it starts fire because of an arsonist, it probably is covered.
Even our homeowners insurance, if New York got attacked by fighter jets, I don't think my homeowners insurance or my renter's insurance.
No, it's not only it specifically does not
acts of war.
Right. Acts of war are almost never insured against because otherwise, if a war happens, the insurance company loses all their money because everything is destroyed. They can't be responsible, even though an act of war would be rare, right? We'll cover that. It's super rare. That'll never happen, right? That's the kind of things they like to cover, things that never happen. The thing is, if it did happen, the insurance company would be on the hook to rebuild society.
No, it's kind of,
and that's why they can't insure war.
This is extra interesting. It could be like Trigun.
Right, but here's the case
with the insurance
where
collectors and
they're claiming that it's war, even though this isn't the case where it destroyed all of society.
Well, it's not.
It only destroyed a few companies.
This is the case where
IT.
They're saying it's a war, but it is an undeclared war.
That's right. So it's like that you could go to court and say this war wasn't declared. It's not part of war. If this was war, how come our government isn't warring back?
Well, I would argue
There's
that the Russian
many arguments
government
you could make in court to say it is or is not war.
I'd argue that the Russian government is engaging in warfare with Western democracies.
And we're just taking it in the chin?
Basically.
Yeah. we're just letting them. It's like, we're getting bombed every day. We're not fighting back.
My measles news actually comes
fighting back.
My measles news actually comes back to this.
We're not fighting back very effectively.
Because there's a lot of evidence that Russian bots are the main promoters of anti-vax.
But anyway, regardless of the insurance reasons and the interesting topics business-wise, right, it is nice to see someone get... It's not nice to see someone get cyber attacked, but it is nice to see someone suffer the consequences of not putting in the effort, time, and money to be cyber confident. So no matter how dumbo your company is, if you don't know them and their computers, you better pay people like us a lot of money to come who do know computers and then do what we say. Or else you will not have your insurance pay you because of an act of war.
So counterpoint, though. When your adversary is just the seething mass of internet shitlords and hackers and mafia stuff, that's one thing. When your adversary is actually state-sponsored, it's hard to defend against that. Even good IT practices will not help you.
If it was a targeted attack, you are correct, like a Stuxnet.
Which in this case, it probably was.
No, it was not. This doesn't seem to have been targeted. This was this thing was just spread around.
Oh, no. So if you are targeted by a state-sponsored actor, you're probably fucked.
Yes.
But if Joey Jojo Shabadoo is targeted by a state-sponsored actor,
no, he's fucked.
You get caught in the collateral damage of that, you're still just as fucked.
Yeah. But I mean, this is mostly cases where there are some dum-dums who work for you who downloaded email attachments and your IT department was not the greatest.
Yeah.
Right? That kind of situation.
So I feel like this issue, at least in the United States, will not be dealt with in any way for at least a decade or two.
Yeah, this case was actually in London. It wasn't in the US.
Which brings up NATO ramifications.
A place that has been bombed much more.
Yeah, there's This is a big deal that's not going to get dealt with correctly anytime soon.
Nope.
So, in some other news, I'm sure you saw a global tragedy has occurred. Notre Dame is basically burned down over the course of the last several hours.
I got only one thing to say.
Yeah, what do you got to say?
Looky mighty.
I am thankful that I was in Paris recently enough to have seen it in person because the entire interior is gone. All that beautiful woodwork is gone.
I'm sure it will be rebuilt again for the X time.
Yep. It does not seem like it was malfeasance. Well, not direct malfeasance.
It doesn't seem to have been that the person burned it on purpose. However, I have seen some vague stories
mostly
that may
coming
or may
out
not
of,
be true.
Mostly coming out of right-wing nutbags.
No, you mean the arson story?
Yeah, the arson
No. I'm
stories.
talking about the stories I'm seeing that are saying that basically what happened. It was under renovation at the time, and basically it was a mistake. Something happened during the renovation that caused this. It seems to be what happened, right? But apparently there was a lot of fighting between the government, which owns it, and the church, which is using it, leasing it, whatever, allowed to basically borrowing it, right? Over who was going to take care of these renovations, because they're basically mad at each other that the place is a dump and who was going to take care of it, finger pointing. And then, there was a lot of low bidding, embezzling, finagling, kind of stuff going on with this renovation project. This renovation project was apparently not 100% above board, full price, high quality deal. And now all that dirty laundry, if any, will be aired, right? It's like if your bad deal goes well, then everything's good.
Yep.
But if your bad deal, suddenly a building collapses or sets on fire, well, guess what? Now all your dirty laundry's out in the open. Everyone can see it.
Yep.
So that's going to be the really interesting story is, rebuilding the building. It's like, yeah, they're going to rebuild it for the however many time. It's a ship of Theseus anyway.
Yep.
Right? But, and they'll probably build it better than it's ever been built, and it'll probably last way longer this time. Paris is pretty good about reducing the impact of fires over time. They're not fireproof yet, but they're getting better.
Yeah, some red blood of angry men and such.
Yeah, but the really interesting story is going to be seeing, the company hired to do this renovating and all that kind of fighting and see who gets in trouble.
Yep.
How much trouble they get in.
Yep, maybe you shouldn't entrust your national treasure to the lowest bidder.
Maybe some insurance things going down, too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we got shitty stuff, too. Washington Monument, I think, had some problems, or maybe still does.
Yep.
Right? It's got some issues, and that could fall and hurt somebody.
Yeah. So in some other news, there don't seem to be a lot of super reliable news sources about this story, but it's really making the rounds. So I want to talk about it.
It's also funny because it's extremely related to a particular Netrunner card.
Yep. So the story is that Pepsi announced a contract with a Russian startup to make an artificial constellation of cube satellites that will print fucking words for an advertisement in the sky. Now, there's two things to say about this. One, I am highly skeptical this will actually happen.
Yeah.
Because this story looks pretty bullshit.
Think about it. The space station, which is up there, which is bigger than a cube satellite, right? You can see it as like a dot.
No, this would be easier.
You can't really. You know how many of these things you would need to see?
Yeah, because you'd have Mylar pointed back at the Earth.
I guess so.
Mylar sails that would theoretically I can see
you
how
got
it
to
would
get
work.
them lit up.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's very difficult to do it this way. And yeah, in the U.S., it's actually illegal to advertise in space, but it's not illegal to do that in Russia.
Yep. So I'll say two things. One, I do not think this is a real story. It is not going to happen. But two, if it does happen,
War.
We declare war. That is a
Shoot it
dystopian
down.
line. I will become a revolutionary and shoot him down myself if I have to.
That's right. I'll go into space with a gun.
Yep.
Moonraker. But yeah, there's a Netrunner card. It was in the original, at least Android Netrunner core set, not the old Netrunner, but the newer. Anyway, and it was an agenda called AstroScript Pilot Program, and the theme of the card was an NBN card, which is basically like Cyberpunk CNN, and the idea was that they were testing out using a laser to draw an advertisement on the moon so that everyone could see this ad all the time. And it was one of the most broken OP cards that won me many tournaments until it was banned.
So last and not least, I said this is similar to the thing with Russia before. So New York City is in the midst, if you haven't noticed, of a really bad measles epidemic.
I heard this, like what,
At least
Westchester is pretty bad.
Oh yeah, but
There's a few places that are pretty bad. The places you would expect.
In Williamsburg alone, there are 285 people known to have contracted the disease.
That's a lot more. That's more people than in like the last many years combined, right?
Yep, 465 cases across 19 states. This is a big deal. However, New York City has done something very important.
If you get measles, you are like gonna die. It's not good.
Well, I mean, I'm vaccinated, so
Yeah, I'm also vaccinated. I got, but the point is, you
Yeah, yeah.
don't want to get it.
So, New York City has ordered mandatory vaccinations in 4 area codes.
If we can do that, why can't we just order it for all people and say if you don't vaccinate, you're kicked to exiled, even if you're a citizen?
So here's the problem. Here's what's going on. We've ordered this, but almost all of these cases are actually in one specific community in Brooklyn of Hasidic Jewish people
Yep.
who are specifically known for being extremely insular and kind of anti-government, and there's a whole
this
thing
actually
with
it
them.
creates a lot of issues because when suddenly if you're pro-science, right, it can now be misconstrued as being anti-Semite, right? And
Yep.
also anti-Semites will jump on the bandwagon with you and say no, I'm just being pro-science so
Yep.
that they can be their anti-Semite ways right? Like for example, there was a story I read today that a bus passed by a Hasidic person without picking him up, which is not allowed. That's inexcusable. But the bus driver was like, I don't want to get measles. It's like,
Well, that
still gotta
neighborhood
pick-
has
still,
that neighborhood has the private sexism buses and all sorts of nonsense
there's lots
going
of
on.
stuff going on.
Yeah, but quote, the doctors are trying to screw us, I'm sure of it, said Barry Schmeltz, a 28-year-old yeshiva student.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting thing, if you're not familiar with Judaism, is that no sect of Judaism says vaccines are bad. Like, this is not a thing.
No, so, right. So not only is
Even the Hasidic Jews have
Right.
nothing against vaccines.
not only are the vaccines specifically rabbi approved as kosher,
Yep.
right? And there's no reason not to get them in the Jewish religion. The Jewish religion actually, with all its crazy rules about not wearing 2 kinds of cloth at one time,
It does have this very important exception that a lot of other religions need to have.
it has lots and lots and lots of common sense exceptions. For example, you're not allowed to drive on Shabbos.
Yep.
All right, Saturday, no car driving, no, because you're not allowed to start a fire, not allowed to work. not allowed-
Unless you're saving someone's life.
But guess what? If you see somebody like dying, it's like, yes, you can drive the car, right? it's all these common sense exceptions. Like, don't do this, but guess what? Oh,
Yep.
it's like, all right, you can only eat the unleavened bread. Oh, you would die without some real bread? Have some yeast.
Yep.
Right.
Looking
It's
at you,
Passover. Have
looking
some-
at you,
Passover's coming soon, by the way.
Looking at you, Catholic Church,
Right.
where
So-
celiac. Well, if you have celiac disease, you just can't get communion because it doesn't count.
So
if it doesn't have gluten in it.
even if the vaccine had like pig's blood in it, right? It would still.
Which it doesn't.
It doesn't. It's totally kosher, right? Even if it did, it would still be permitted by most rabbis, I imagine.
So here's the interesting part. Among the that community, there's a sort of subset of them that's sort of very anti-government. But even them, their own rabbi was like, most of us are vaccinated, and frankly, paraphrasing this guy, I am annoyed at the very small number of members of our community who are, for no earthly reason, anti-vaccine. But the article points out something very specific. The reasons for the explosion of cases, because they're almost all in this community, among members of insular ultra-Orthodox communities, has to do with their frequent contacts with Israel, which is undergoing its own measles epidemic, combined with their insularity and general mistrust of the government.
Yep.
In addition, and this is the part I'm getting into, this is what's kind of fucked up. There is a widespread, I'm paraphrasing the article now, but there is a widespread misinformation campaign of fake robot phone calls and internet stuff specifically targeting this community with anti-vax propaganda. There is some evidence that anti-vax propaganda that is also targeting Israel appears to be another Russian psyop.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's just convince these Jews we hate because we're anti-Semites to not get vaccinated, and they'll die.
Yeah. Part of it is that Israel has no requirement for children to be vaccinated before grade school. So there's a measles epidemic going on there. And then because...
How did they not get measles there before, though?
From what I can gather...
People were getting it even though it wasn't required until recently?
I think measles has been more of a problem in Israel than it has been in other places. You can read this article.
Why don't we do these kind of psyops against, It's not like the people that we're fighting against are that geniuses. Let's call up all like the crazy yokels in the U.S. and tell them stuff that will get them to hurt themselves.
Should this be our next Monday or Thursday topic? What, like modern psyops?
No, I'm not saying anti. I'm just saying
meme warfare. No, meme warfare.
Instead of all these, because all the people not doing vaccines are like ultra religious Jews who've been opt. And crazy hipster new agey people who think vaccines give you autism, right?
Yep.
But meanwhile, the friggin', Republican people in Louisiana or Alabama or whatever are all getting vaccines. Why don't we call them and convince them to get measles?
So there's another way to go. I saw a meme making the rounds that someone's trying to push where they're trying to do the thing we always talk about. They're trying to make a viral meme that will spread among idiots that will cause them to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
The meme is around how vaccines are effective, but they have toxins in them, and the government won't tell you what they are. If you take a raw potato, scrape it, and apply it to the vaccination wound within 6 hours of getting the vaccine and hold it there and really rub it in, it'll draw the toxins from the vaccine out, but still give you the vaccination. Obviously, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
But
I think this is made by some Idaho potato farmer.
It's the kind of bullshit that the kind of person who thinks vaccines will give their baby autism because of a Facebook meme might believe. Anyway, it's time for... Oh, God, we got someone in the watching here with 4 monitors.
Daddy too many.
Indie game dev work. And having Netflix. One of them is just for Netflix.
Too many monitors. I mean, does my TV count as a monitor? It's on a different computer.
No, a different computer. It has to be all on one computer. It doesn't count.
No.
I just ran cables to have a second monitor on the HTPC in the kitchen. It's actually real nice. I can watch hockey while I'm cooking, which is tonight the night where Tampa Bay gets knocked out.
My TV is on a thing, so I can just turn it towards the kitchen.
Yeah, my kitchen is not visible. Let's see.
You could swap your TV and your couch.
Oh, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to see the Lightning get knocked out of the Stanley Cup in a sweep by the Blue Jackets.
That's the second best scenario for us.
Yeah. The thing is, on one hand,
we either need to go out, win, or go out immediately.
Yeah, we either want the Lightning to get the Stanley Cup or fuck them because it's really funny when the first seed goes down in the first round.
Because if they go down in the first round, then their draft pick is earlier.
Oh, yeah.
It'll still be a second-round pick, but it'll be earlier in the second round.
And if they win the Stanley Cup...
If they go to the finals and lose, it'll be a late second-round pick.
True.
If they win the Stanley Cup, though, then it'll be a late first-round pick. Well, last in the first round, right? So... This is actually the second best case scenario is for them to lose right now. If you're not going to win the whole thing, lose right now.
Oh, so before I start the stuff, if you're in the forum, I made a thread, post your Stanley Cup bracket, don't be a coward and change it based on recent knowledge about the Lightning choking.
It's a little late to make brackets.
I mean, I made one a while ago, so I just posted it in the forum.
Yeah, whatever.
The problem is my bracket assumes Tampa in all cases, so...
Yeah. If I made a bracket before starting, I just start by going Lightning all the way to the end and then fill in the rest.
I went Lightning to the final, and I went Knights to the final. And once you get to the final...
I don't think so.
I think the Knights will make it. Calgary, I think, is my second best. I feel like they could
Calgary
make it.
Probably very strong in the West.
Yeah. I mean, they're tied with the Flames right now, so... Oh, Knights are leading. All right, anyway, it's not hockey talk. It's time for Things of the Day. Your thing of the day was, it's a good thing. Things of the day. So you might have heard You might have heard of the extended 1-up sound. You might have heard that there's an alternate version of the 1-up sound in Mario 3.
Well,
that's
you might
longer.
have played Mario 3, and occasionally while playing Mario 3, notice that certain sounds override other sounds. Certain sounds play strangely sometimes. And, the sound is not the sound effects, like the things that happen, like when you jump, shoot a fireball, hit a block, all the minor sound effects. There's some inconsistency to them, and you can kind of feel it and like understand it when you're playing Mario 3, especially if you played Mario 3 a lot, right? But here's a video, Rim's thing of the day, that I know more about than he does, apparently, because I watched the whole thing.
I watched the whole thing, too. So,
Okay.
I was saying that, you might have heard this sound, or you might have heard people say, oh, there's a long version of the sound. It's actually way more complicated than that. The long version of the sound is not actually intended. It's a glitch where the sound plays, and based on a bunch of other parameters in memory, it plays part of a different sound with weird parameters. So you get this glitched out version of the sound.
And they actually, it's like you can. This video explains how they came up with an elegant system for the sound effects
that handles priority because you only have so many channels that can play audio. So you got to organize the sounds.
Right. B, they had too many sounds, so they hacked on an additional duct tape solution to add extra sounds.
Which was pretty elegant, all things considered.
Right, and then C, they coded a way for this to still work, even though it was hacky, and then there was a bug in that duct tape that caused it to be messed up. And if you can actually fix that bug if you patch your ROM or whatever, and then the sounds won't ever mess up.
Yep, I won't spoil it, but the video is only like 15 minutes long, and it really, even if you don't know anything about computers, it explains it well enough. You'll understand what's going on.
You'll also start to understand computers, hopefully.
Yeah, because remember, this is an NES. Like the bug is in basically a single CPU instruction to move data from one register to another register.
Right.
Like that's the bug in the end.
Yeah, so speaking of Nintendo console CPUs, I don't know when this was made. This might be old. Something similar might have even been this might have been thing of the day at some point, and I forget it. But it was making the rounds on the internet very recently, so I'll take that as like, I saw it posted in multiple places, which makes me think it's new or at least updated. So what this is a complete manual to the CPU on the original Game Boy, right? Like, I guess also it applies to every other thing, like, I guess, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy, Super Game Boy. It's got a bunch of typos I just noticed. It applies to all the things that are Game Boy in the original Game Boy, anything that can play a gray cartridge, right? But yeah, it's a complete CPU manual, tells you everything about how that Game Boy works, and it was compiled by a whole bunch of people with very internet-y names. Go to the top. Let's see who their names are.
Oh, I was like Koopa. Let's see.
Yeah. All right, this document was compiled by
Pan of
Anthrax, Gabby, Marit Faisalin.
That's a Dune name.
Yeah. Pascal Felber, Paul Robson. That's a normal name. Martin Korth. That's a Koopa. And Bowser. Yeah. So it's like
Bowser.
That's pretty, for a non-official manual, it's very complete and thorough. And if you read this and you can write some assembly and you get little flash carts, you can actually load your programs onto your Game Boy or get a Game Boy emulator. You can use this to make Game Boy software.
I have a soft spot for like the kind of complete documentation that used to come with computer things.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
In the meta moment. We don't have any conventions for a while. It's summer. We're just hanging out, which means we're going to be making more, we're going to make Judge Anime by its cover.
We recorded Judge Anime by its cover for the current season. I just have to put it together. They changed their website, so I had to do some programming to get my scrapey script to work.
Yep. I'm getting our backlog of video together, so I just uploaded one of our panels from MagFest at the beginning of the year, Rare Game Mechanics.
Yeah, I'll have the Judge uploaded soon.
Yep. I just finished editing our most recent talk, The Real Harm of Games, and I'm going to post it as soon as I feel like it. It's already on YouTube. I just haven't made it public yet because I don't want to blow my whole load in one go. You'll just have to wait. where I did some pre-production for the next episode of the Utena Show. You might have noticed a few episodes of our Utena Show got taken down yet again.
Oh, no.
I'm in the process of fighting that yet again.
Oh, no.
That's why we don't make anime content after we finish the Utena Show. I'm just fucking never making an analysis show of anything ever again. It's just not worth it.
Just don't put clips of the show in the analysis show.
Yeah, but showing the clip while we're talking is a big part of why the show's good.
Let's put it up on a different site and not YouTube.
That's also a pain in the ass.
I'm just saying.
That's a big pain in the ass.
Hey, it's a thing.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I'm working on it. And the GeekNights Book Club, I have chosen a book which might be a terrible mistake. We were reading Troy Denning's Pages of Pain.
I hope that reading it is not, that the title is not taken literally.
Nominative determinism.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen.
But we'll see. I have fond memories of this being shockingly good for being a branded Dungeons & Dragons book.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. And yeah, let's get right into it. Because long time ago, in 1993, the concept of a bookmark appeared in the Mosaic browser.
Right, so it's like we had web browsers, people were typing in URLs, and a really basic feature was added to the web browser, like, hey, you're visiting this web page a lot, right? /. You're just going there over and over again. You don't want to have to type in www.slash.org every freaking time, especially they didn't really have autocomplete in the location bar.
Yep.
Right? They didn't have any of these features to make it, easy to type in.
Dude, there were some websites I went to regularly that was literally just an IP address. There was no DNS.
Yep. And you didn't have tabs in the browser even in those days.
Dude, tabs didn't appear till we were in college.
Right. So they made bookmarks where you would save the link to the web page, and now you could just go to a menu. They didn't even have the bookmark bar then.
Yep.
You go to a menu, and then you could click an item in the menu, and that would take you to the page, so you could just click 2 times, and you didn't have to type in all this URL all the time, and you could, all your favorite web pages, all 10 of them, you could go to them over and over and over again very easily by clicking. And that was the idea of a bookmark.
So when we were thinking about doing this show, actually...
Also, if you came across something interesting that had like a crazy long URL, you could save it for later, and you wouldn't lose it.
That's how I'd remember, like, oh, this was that great site that had all those anime GIFs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here was that Gameboy CPU Manual. Let me not lose this.
Yep. Here's the link to that file share that has 2 hacked ROMs of Final Fantasy 4 and 2, the NES one, with the Japanese translated into English. Like that kind of nonsense.
So over time, a lot of features were added to browsers. Tabs, bookmark bar, all kinds of crazy stuff.
And also the internet changed seismically multiple times.
Right. So there are a couple bookmark features, though, that I'm upset that were not, Chrome doesn't have and Firefox does.
Well, I got to back up a little bit further because I feel like if you chart a graph of how actively I curate my own bookmarks and use them in my day-to-day life, the graph just goes up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And then there's a point where it starts going down and down and down and down and down and down and down.
Right. Well,
and I basically don't use bookmarks anymore.
Right. So what I'm saying is that all these other features that came along made bookmarks get used less and less and less and less and less and less and less. Right. People keep just keeping tabs open because we have tabs now. Pinning the tabs to make them smaller, right? All of these frequently used websites just open all the time.
Also, to quote a tweet that makes the rounds pretty regularly, that is very relevant to this discussion, quote, I feel like there used to be more websites.
Yeah.
I mean, my old bookmarks, which I have saved somewhere, like on the NAS, I have like bookmarks from High School Rim.
Right. Well, I mean, for example, webcomics. I used to have a bookmark folder, and in that bookmark folder was a link to every single webcomic I read.
I had a bookmark folder called Webcomics, and then I had a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
I didn't separate them. What I did is every day I would open up, when I woke up, I would go to that folder, I'd right-click on it, and I would say, open all in tabs, and it would open up a new window with 1 tab for every comic, and I would just press Control-Tab going through each comic, and if they weren't a new one, I would just tab over it real quickly because it wasn't updated, and I would just go through all of them, and that was when I was reading webcomics regularly, and the failure of that is why I haven't been keeping up with webcomics.
So part of this was that this was an era for a long time where there was no effective way to search for things on the internet. Like, searching didn't really work. So if you found a website and it had good stuff, you needed to save it and remember how to get to it, or you might never find it again.
That's right.
That is literally what the internet was like. And there were a lot of websites. None of them had URLs that meant anything to anyone.
Right. So because we have tabs, because we have Google, because we have autocomplete in the browser bar, because we have so many things now that have made bookmarks obsolete. And in fact, the two kinds of bookmarks, right? There was the kind of bookmark where I go to this site all the time.
Yep.
And the kind where this is an interesting article, let me save it. The interesting article kind, even while bookmarks were still in use, we started using Delicious to save those instead of using the browser.
I used Delicious so heavily until it disappeared, and now it's not trustworthy.
Right. No, you can't. Delicious got bought and sold too many times, and now it's dead. But there's a website, pinboard.in, that's not free, but it's really cheap. It's like a couple bucks a year or something. And I just use that, and then I use IFTTT. And what I have it set up with IFTTT is basically if I favorite a tweet and there's a link in it, it goes on the pinboard automatically. If I upvote something on Reddit or save something on Reddit or save something in Feedly or like any action I take on the internet on any site that involves a link, I have it configured to put that link on the pinboard.in. And so now any kind of things I want to remember are just automatically all aggregated there forever. And all my old Delicious bookmarks are imported too.
What's interesting is I almost never need to remember a link to anything because
I go there to find the thing of the day I saved. You know, if I like a YouTube video, it goes there.
Oh, yeah. But I guess I just look at my own Twitter likes or I look at my own YouTube likes.
Yeah, they're all collected in one place.
That is true. That is true. But I guess in terms of like when I'm using the internet, like aside from the use case of Scott and I actually need to compile lists of things we're going to link to and talk about because we make Geek Nights, in the rest of my life, I just start typing the name of the thing I'm going to.
Yep.
And autocomplete and Google and everything just make it work.
They made so many.
And I don't go to that many websites.
They made so many good features. You don't need bookmarks.
What do I do? I type news. It takes me to news.google.com, and then I type the noun that I'm looking for news about.
Yep.
Or I just start typing like I don't know and then YouTube. Because I'm going to be in YouTube.
So one of the features that I really like in Firefox is you can make a bookmark and you can add a word to that bookmark. So for example, I could make a bookmark to our website and then I could give it a keyword, FRC. And now if I type FRC in the location bar, it goes to that bookmark. So you basically don't have to actually click on bookmarks. You can just put in codes for them. Another thing you can do with that is you can actually make bookmarks of search bars. So you could go to, say, what's a site that has a search on it?
YouTube.
Wikipedia. You can go to Wikipedia, find the search box, right-click on the search box, create a bookmark for the search box, then create a keyword on that. So a thing I do often...
So here's why that doesn't matter. I type any random thing into just Google, and it immediately always returns, in almost all cases, first result, the Wikipedia for that thing.
But what I do is I go to the location bar, and I type wiki space thing and press enter, and I'm already on the Wikipedia page for that thing. I can skip the Google page. I save a whole page. Right? So those are some nice features, but you know, Chrome sort of kind of Firefox really implements them
Here's where this all
correctly.
breaks down. I use, like I said, I used to use complex bookmark management things to do cool things, but I increasingly don't have, it's not that I don't have the time, it's that it's not worth the effort. The payout is too low to curate really anything anymore.
No.
Like, I'm not willing to curate my bookmarks. So even if those features are incredibly useful, very intuitive.
I only have like those two, but I use them all.
But curating the data to make the features actually do it something better than just blindly typing nonsense into the browser URL thing isn't worth the effort.
Yep. So there is one case I still use old school bookmarks in the bookmark bar, right?
Yep.
So the bookmark bar was.
See what's in my bookmark bar because I don't curate it at all. I've got webcomics.
You don't just turn it off if you're not using it, just turn it off.
I think I turned it back on.
Then
for
you can
some
save
reason.
some. If I'm not using it at home, I have it completely turned off because I don't use it at home. I only use it at work. And at work, what I do is I basically fill up the bookmark bar with all the work shit that you can never remember the URL to. Like click on this to go to Jira. Click on this to go to Confluence. Click on this to go to GitHub.
See, at work,
click on this to go to
I just type
Lattice.
J. At work, I type J, and it takes me to my Jira dashboard.
But it's like, I have all these different software as service
It takes me to the
things
Confluence page.
that I have to use at work. So I have basically buttons for each one of them, right, in that bookmark bar. You know, and now you don't have to go. You used to have to go to a menu to go to bookmarks. Now I can just click on any of the ones in the bar.
Well, yeah, so I realized my all I got in my bookmarks bar is one bookmark to this awesome-looking website about war game mechanics.
Okay. Is that the website with your adjacent triangle?
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like a really fascinating thing I want to read later. I don't know why I bookmarked it.
Okay.
And then I have a thing called webcomics.
Did you press Control D by accident?
Probably. Then I've got a list of webcomics. One I still read. One that's been done for years. One I still read. The admin link for Kineticons like CMS. A chili recipe.
Why is a chili recipe in your webcomics bookmark?
I probably hit Control D. The old Front Row Crew forum. Google News. Oh, this place that had all the bootleg DDR ROMs that is totally still up.
Sweet.
All right.
Send me that one.
All right. And my streaming dashboard. So, yeah, I don't use bookmarks at all.
I do have a few bookmarks on my iPad, iPhone. They synchronize with iCloud. They're the same because it's not like, you know, you can really, it's not the same UI on a phone where you're keeping the tabs open and stuff like that. So I just have like 3 bookmarks to go to like the forum and the pinboard, and that's really pretty much it. Like
I've realized
because the other thing is the things where I'm on my desktop, right? A lot of the tabs I have open in my browser on my phone have their own app. Right? So it's like on my computer, I'll have like Gmail open in a tab all the time. Don't need a bookmark. On my phone, there's a Gmail app. But like the forum is like the only thing that I need the browser for that I keep going to on my phone. So that has a bookmark on the phone. But it's like the only bookmark on the phone.
But I guess as a result of Web 2.0 and maybe Web 2.5 and like the way the internet's used today, I only go to like 7 websites.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm saying is like, back in the day, you go to a different website for each thing. If you were interested in like 10 different people, they each had 10 different blogs. You had to read everyone's blog.
Dude, my Delicious was so curated that I would basically search my own bookmarks to find something, and I would use my tags.
I still do that.
I would look for like Tenchi, anime, minus a bunch, like minus this tag plus that tag to find like the 40 websites I'd link to that had the one thing I'm looking for right now.
But nowadays, you just, instead of everyone having their own blog that you visit or everyone having their own GeoCities and all these different pages, you just follow everyone on Twitter and you go to one website, Twitter.
Yep.
It's like, or even if you go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you just go to one of every social network.
Dude, I don't even go to
everyone's
Reddit.
There. Yeah, Reddit, you know, but it's like, you don't need, you know, to have so many different sites because everyone is posting this stuff on the same site, and then you just click links from there to other places. So I don't need to bookmark your actual blog post, even if you link to it with a tweet, because I just favorite that tweet.
Well, the other problem I've had with bookmarks is that throughout all of my life, websites just disappear, and even if you go to one website, links disappear because no one... I feel like, for some reason, Scott and I are some of the last people on Earth who are obsessed with maintaining link integrity forever.
That's right.
Our fucking website...
Open source people do. They're like, you know...
To this day...
Good URLs don't change.
If you got a URL to the GeekNights podcast, like a particular episode back in like 2005, that fucking URL will still get you there.
The thing is that the day might not work, but the URL does.
Yep.
All the URLs of our old forum still work. Kept the whole thing up, even though it's read-only.
Yep.
And some of it's broken, but you can still read everything there.
It is terrifying how much content is in there.
Yes.
So, is there a future for bookmarks? Because I feel like this comes down to a much more fundamental question.
I don't think it's that, you know, who cares about saving or not saving bookmarks themselves? They're not the special thing. They were just a solution to a problem, and both... The problem has been solved mostly, like 90+%, by other solutions that are better. And the problem itself has largely gone away also.
So people who are making bookmarks features in browsers are saying, how do I make bookmarks usable and better, when they're skipping, there's the begged question of, why do you need a bookmark in the first place?
Yes, you built all these other things so that bookmarks are no longer needed, and the world changed, so bookmarks are no longer needed nearly as much, right?
Though there is one thing that happens to me every now and then. Every now and then, I need to log into, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example of this. The fucking, like, the website to file a New York State royalty tax thing. I don't fucking remember that URL, and I definitely haven't been to it.
You can't Google it?
I'd have to Google for it
You
and
can't go to
find
like, the
it.
New York State tax website?
Yeah, and then maybe hunt around for it because usually there's like 3 different tax websites and they all do different things that are crooked slightly so because it's a government website. Or what happens to me at work sometimes is I will be in a conference room as opposed to at my desk. And I don't know the URL or even the domain of the thing I want to pull up, but all I know is that if I start typing the letter I at my desk, it'll get me there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there could be cases like, the other day I got my annual free credit report, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of sites, they try to scam you with that credit report.
You want to make sure it's the right one.
There's one that is the government-sponsored website that's like, there for government,
I actually stopped using that. I get the free one from my bank.
The one from the bank is apparently, I'm not going to talk about credit scores, but the one from the bank is a Vantage score, not a FICO 8 score. It's not exactly the same.
But it's very rare that one of them is really bad and one of them's really good.
It is very rare. But the point is, I wanted to get the real one. I haven't done it in so long. I was just curious.
The funny thing is,
I know I can do it once a year. So
I just checked mine because, tax season. The only way my credit could possibly get better is if I am 20 years older.
The only way my credit better is
if I buy a house. I've never had a mortgage.
Yeah, if I was rich or bought a house.
Yep.
Basically, it's almost at the maximum. The maximums were like 850.
Yep.
Mine's like 820 something. 828.
Mine was 830.
It was really. It might be 830. It was up there. It was really high. I forget the exact number.
At the bottom is literally like get a mortgage or be older.
Yeah. There wasn't much I could do to make it better because I paid all my bills.
So I'll bet the only difference between yours and mine.
The point is bookmarking the legit website, which I think is annual credit report.
Yeah.
The legit one. Make sure you go to the legit one. You can use Wikipedia to confirm which one's the legit one.
Or bookmarking like the specific website you log into to manage like the vision plan you get from your company that's different.
That's the kind of stuff like I bookmark at work where it's not something you can search for, right?
Yep.
It's not like I can search for my company's HR systems URL, right? It's a particular URL that like only people at our company
you know what's
use.
Funny? Because of the nature,
like I said, I bookmark our forum, our website, whatever, because it's like a particular URL for us. Yeah.
But I guess there is a fundamental question that we can ask but not answer around this thing of that there were a lot of tools that we use and that people use related to the internet in general that were really around the idea of if you curate a data set, you can make that data set extremely valuable to yourself and others. But increasingly, no one is willing to curate data sets.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
We want algorithms to just do it.
But the problem is
we don't want to do it by hand.
Algorithms will just work. Like autocomplete just finds everything I want 99% of the time, but no one can explain why the algorithm does A versus B, and that's why the 4th YouTube video in any search result is some Nazi shit. So I don't know what to do about that because I like curating data.
Well, people gamify the algorithm, right? They try to trick it into showing their stuff, and the people who try the hardest at that succeed to some extent.
But look, I take a lot of photos and make a lot of video. I cannot be asked with ASS, like asked, not asked, but asked, to bother actually fully tagging all the photos I take in Lightroom.
Or, it's like, I don't put the effort to like play internet games and get like fake likes and do other stuff to promote my viz.
Yep.
It's not worth it.
I'm just talking about even my own content. Like my MP3 collection is curated to the point of obsession up until about 2003, and then every music file I've gotten since then is just in a mess.
Yep.
And I will never fix that.
Yep.
I think it was a good show.